Okay, so I have a confession to make.
Oh,
And honestly, looking at all the research we have laid out today, it's a little embarrassing.
go on.
A few years ago, this is before I really, got these concepts we're about to dive into, I bought a very specific, very high-end coffee grinder.
Is this the one that costs more than like a small car?
That is the one. It was, let's just call it a significant investment
Yeah.
in my morning routine. But here's the confession part. When it arrived, I didn't put it on the kitchen counter.
Okay.
I put it in the back of a cabinet
Yeah.
in the garage.
Wait, you were brewing espresso next to the lawnmower?
No, I just wanted to integrate it into the kitchen slowly. Let it just sort of appear gradually so it wouldn't be this big thing.
Ah, I see.
In my head, I was justifying it like I worked hard for this extra cash. This is my height. I don't want to have the whole, is this in the budget conversation?
Mm-hmm.
It just felt easier to keep it separate.
You know what that is? I mean, that is the textbook definition of the yours, mine, and ours trap.
Yeah.
You were acting less like a spouse and more like a roommate who's trying not to get caught eating the other person's yogurt.
It feels ridiculous saying it out loud, but that is exactly what we are diving into today. We are tackling financial roommate syndrome. It's this idea that's everywhere that even though you're married, you're basically just running two separate businesses under one roof.
Yeah.
You pay the electric, I'll pay the water, and we just don't ask questions.
It's so common. But as we were combing through the research for this deep dive, I mean, pulling from Art Rayner, Shanti Feldhahn, Tony Evans, Dave Ramsey, it became so clear that this roommate thing isn't just a logistical choice.
Well,
It's cited as one of the biggest threats to marital intimacy.
it's like a silent killer because it looks so polite on the surface.
Right.
So the mission today is to dismantle that whole syndrome.
Yeah.
We're going to look at the psychology of why we do it, the theology that completely flips the script, and then, get into the nitty-gritty tools like the budget committee and pocket money to actually fix it.
And we should probably say right up front, this isn't just theory for us. We're looking at the research, of course, but we both felt that pull, to keep things hidden or separate because it just feels safer.
Absolutely. The garage grinder was just the tip of the iceberg for me. But let's start with the definition. What is this financial roommate syndrome actually doing to a relationship?
Well, Stephen Arterburn, he breaks this down in the 7-Minute Marriage Solution. He argues that when you separate your finances, when you rigidly maintain my money versus your money, you're actively eroding the oneness that marriage is supposed to be.
It becomes transactional.
Totally transactional. You're creating a contract. I did my part. Now you do yours.
Right.
And Tony Evans, he has this really stark image of this in Kingdom Marriage. He says separate accounts foster a me versus you mentality. If you're fighting over who pays for dinner or whose student loan is whose, you're not teammates. You're opponents negotiating a contract. And opponents don't have intimacy. They just have temporary truces.
That leads perfectly into our first big segment, the myth of yours versus mine. I was reading Art Rayner's book, The Marriage Challenge, and he focuses so heavily on vocabulary.
The words we use.
Yeah, he suggests that the words we use are just symptoms of a much deeper heart condition.
It's the vocabulary of division. You hear it all the time. I have to pay off my student loan, or she has her car payment. Rayner's point is that the moment you say, I do, those pronouns are just obsolete.
But that is such a difficult shift for people. Especially if one partner comes in debt-free and the other brings in, say, $50,000 of student loans. It feels unfair to call it our debt.
It feels unfair, yeah, but look at what Jimmy Evans argues in Marriage on the Rock. He's so blunt about it. He says, mine and thine are words for single people. Marriage requires ours. If you aren't willing to share the debt, you aren't fully married. You're protecting yourself from your spouse.
And that protection mechanism, that's the key, isn't it? We looked at Shanti Feldhahn's research in Thriving in Love and Money, and she found the reason people keep accounts separate usually isn't convenience, even though that's what we tell ourselves.
Right. We say, oh, I'm just better at the math, or it's just easier if I handle this one bill. But her data suggests that deep down, it's fear. It's this illusion of control.
The illusion of control.
Yeah. Her research showed people resist joint finances because they're thinking, I need to keep a ripcord just in case, or I don't trust you to handle money well, so I'm going to ring fence my part.
It's a trust issue that's just masquerading as a math issue.
Precisely. And while avoiding a joint account might stop a few arguments in the short term because, I don't see what you spend on golf, you don't see what I spend on shoes, it prevents any real vulnerability.
You're just building a wall.
You're building a wall. And eventually you run out of that emotional connection because you're living parallel lives.
So, if the root problem is fear and control, how do we even begin to dismantle it? This is where the research really pivots from psychology to theology. And I have to say, this is the part that hit me the hardest.
Mhm.
We have to talk about who actually owns the money.
This is the foundational pivot. We can talk about budget apps and spreadsheets all day long, but if we don't get the ownership question right, none of the math will ever work.
Right.
Both Tony Evans and Scott Kedersha just hammer this point. God is the owner. We are just the stewards.
This goes right back to Psalm 24.1. The earth is the Lord's and everything in it.
Everything. That means the money in your checking account, the car in the driveway, the coffee grinder in your garage.
Okay. Point taken.
It all belongs to God. And Evans makes this incredible point. If God owns it all, then you and your spouse are just co-manager.
Co-managers.
Yeah. So there is no my money to fight over because none of it is yours. It's his capital that he has entrusted to the team of you to manage.
That shifts the dynamic completely.
Yeah.
Instead of me fighting you for our resources, we're standing side by side looking at God's resources and asking, okay, boss, what do you want us to do with this?
It completely removes the ego. Evans actually warns that claiming ownership, saying, this is mine because I earned it, is rooted in pride. He says it's the same root pride that motivates sin.
Wow.
When you really grasp that, you realize that fighting over money is actually a spiritual battle, not a financial one.
And Paul David Tripp, he adds another layer to this in redeeming money. He says money is a window into our worship. He writes, and I'm quoting here, "There's no better indicator of the identity you have assigned to yourself than the way you use money."
That is a heavy concept. If you use money to buy endless security, then your idol is safety. If you use it to buy status, your idol is power. When couples fight about money, they usually aren't fighting about the dollars and cents. They're fighting about these competing identities.
Okay, let's make this practical, because idolatry is a big concept to throw around on a Tuesday night when you're just arguing about the grocery bill.
Right.
We found a tool from the Gottman Institute called Dreams Within Conflict that bridges this gap so perfectly.
Oh, this is a game changer for couples who are gridlocked.
Ah.
John and Julie Gottman, they observed that when couples have the same fight over and over again, what they call the perpetual problem, it's because a life dream is being threatened.
So let's play this out. Say a couple is fighting about buying a new car. One wants the safe, reliable Volvo. The other wants to just keep the old beater and save the cash.
And they spend hours arguing about payments and interest rates.
Exactly. They're stuck in the math.
Yeah.
The Gottman advice is stop the math, ask the dream question.
What's that?
What does this purchase represent to you?
Hmm.
And the Volvo spouse might say, well, it represents safety. I grew up in a house where cars were always breaking down on the side of the road, and I was terrified. I just want to know my family is safe.
And then the saver spouse might say, this cash represents freedom to me. My parents were drowning in debt, and I swore I would never be a slave to a bank.
See? Suddenly, you're not fighting about a Volvo anymore. You're fighting about safety versus freedom. And once you uncover that, you can actually have a real conversation.
You move from negotiation to empathy. You stop being roommates splitting a bill, and you start being spouses who are caring for each other's deepest fears.
Okay, so speaking of different fears and approaches, we have to talk about the classic personality clash.
Oh, yes.
The nerd versus the free spirit.
The Dave Ramsey classic. I mean, it's almost a cliche because it's so universally true, right?
I definitely lean toward the free spirit side.
And I am painfully on the nerd side.
So for anyone listening who might not know the terminology, the nerd is the one who loves the spreadsheet.
Mm-hmm.
They feel a physical rush of endorphins when the budget actually balances. To them, spending feels like a loss of control.
Whereas the free spirit feels like the budget is a straitjacket. They're thinking, it'll all work out. They use spending to feel joy or spontaneity or freedom.
And to a nerd, a free spirit looks completely irresponsible.
And to a free spirit, a nerd looks controlling and, frankly, miserable.
Thriving in Love and Money calls this the impulsive tendency versus the planning tendency. And the problem happens when you put these two in a cage match.
Yeah.
Usually the nerd just wins by wearing the other person down with logic, where the free spirit just goes rogue and starts hiding their spending.
Which brings us right back to the roommate syndrome. So how do we solve this personality clash without just, divorcing our bank accounts?
Two big solutions came up again and again in the research. First one from Shanti Feldhahn, the pocket money compromise. Some people call it blow money.
This is so vital for the free spirit's sanity. The idea is you agree on a specific amount of money per month. It can be cash, separate debit card, whatever, for each person. And here's the absolute rule. You can spend that money on anything you want, and your spouse is not allowed to say a single word about it.
No rolling of the eyes.
No commentary. No, did you really need another one of those? Nothing.
That sounds like marriage insurance.
It really is. It gives the free spirit that sense of autonomy. They get that feeling of, I can do what I want, but because it's a set amount, the nerd knows the budget isn't going to break. It satisfies both psychological needs.
I love that. It's structured freedom.
Hmm.
Okay, so the second solution comes from Art Rainer's The Marriage Challenge, the budget committee.
Right. This addresses that tendency for the free spirit to just check out. Rainer says you have to view this like a board meeting.
So the nerd, the one who's naturally good at it, prepares the draft budget. They do the heavy lifting.
Right. But then, and this is non-negotiable, the free spirit must show up to the meeting. They have to sit down, look at the numbers, and this is key. They have to vote. Decisions must be unanimous.
So you can't just say whatever you want, honey.
Nope. Because if you say whatever you want, you forfeit the right to complain later when there's no money left for your hobby. You have to have skin in the game. You are both voting on how to allocate God's resources for your family's mission.
I think that voting concept is actually really empowering. It forces the free spirit to engage, but it also forces the nerd to release some control and actually listen.
Exactly.
But what happens when people don't do this?
Yeah.
What happens when they do go rogue?
Well, that brings us to the danger zone, financial infidelity.
This is a term that's getting a lot more traction lately. Art Rainer talks about it a lot.
Financial infidelity is. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's the act of hiding purchases, keeping secret credit cards, or, and this is a big one, lying about how much something cost. You know, oh, this old thing, I got it on sale for $5 when it was really $50 or $100.
Or the classic porch dash, sprinting out to the mailbox to grab the credit card bill or the Amazon package before your spouse gets home.
We laugh about it, but Rainer makes a really sobering point. He says this destroys trust just as effectively as sexual infidelity.
That is a very strong statement.
It is, but think about the mechanics of trust. The vow is for richer or for poorer. It's a vow of oneness. When you hide money, you're breaking that vow. You're looking at your spouse and saying, I don't trust you with this part of me, or maybe I respect my desire for this thing more than I respect our union. It tells the other person they aren't safe with you.
I remember a time early on, not the coffee grinder, a different incident, where I spent money we didn't really have on a trip. I downplayed the cost a lot.
Uh-oh.
And when the truth came out, the look on my wife's face, it wasn't anger about the dollars, it was fear. It was, what else are you hiding from me?
Exactly. It shatters their psychological safety. So the fix for this, according to Rainer, is what he calls the all-access pass.
This sounds absolutely terrifying to a lot of people.
Yeah. It creates safety, though. The all-access pass just means total transparency. Both spouses have every password, every PIN, every login for every single account. No secret stashes, period.
Now, I can already hear the free spirit screaming, but I don't want to be policed.
And that is the crucial distinction. This is not about the nerd policing the free spirit. It's not about logging in every day to critique their Starbucks habit.
So what is it about?
It's about vulnerability. It's about saying, I have nothing to hide from you. You have access to all of me.
It's the digital equivalent of being naked and unashamed.
That's a great way to put it. When you know your spouse could look at any time, it keeps you accountable. But more importantly, when you hand over that password, you're building this incredible bridge of trust. You're saying, we are one entity.
So we've moved from financial roommates with their separate bills through the theology of stewardship, past the personality clashes, and now into total transparency.
Yeah.
But why? I mean, what's the end game here?
This is where we have to zoom out, because if the goal is just being debt-free, that's a pretty small goal, honestly.
It's kind of a boring goal.
It is. In Marriage After God, the vision is so much bigger. The whole point of fixing your financial roommate syndrome is to set your marriage free to serve God and be wildly generous.
It's about impact.
Right. When you are fighting over bills or you're drowning in separate debts, you're paralyzed. You can't give to that cause you care about. You can't help a neighbor in need. You're just inwardly focused.
But when you are a team, when you've pooled your resources and your hearts, you become a powerhouse.
You're investing in eternal value. You're building a legacy. And that is what keeps you going when the budget meeting gets boring. You remember, we are doing this so we can be dangerous for the kingdom.
I love that. Dangerous for the kingdom.
Okay, so let's wrap this up with a challenge. We don't want you to just listen to this and say, that was nice, and then go back to hiding receipts in the garage.
Please don't do that.
We want to issue a weekly challenge. We're calling it the Financial Date Night. And no, that's not an oxymoron. It could actually be really good.
So here are the steps. Step 1, schedule it. Put it on the calendar. Step 2, put everything on the table. All the debt, all the assets, no secrets. If you have a secret credit card, this is the amnesty moment. Bring it out.
Step 3, exchange passwords. Do the all-access pass. If you don't know your spouse's banking login, get it and give them yours.
And finally, step 4, ask one dream within conflict question. Don't talk about the math yet. Just ask, what does money mean to you? What's your biggest fear around it? What's your dream?
That is where the healing starts. Stop being roommates.
Start being a team.
Start being one. It's hard work, but it's the only way to build a marriage that really thrives.
It really is.
Thanks for diving in with us. We'll see you next time.
See that?